Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening
or watching
this latest episode of Turfcast podcast with me, Joe Redmond, and my good friend Simon Townley. How you doing, mate?
Very well, thank you. Whatever, always good. Are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Another 10-hour shift down at work. This is my fourth in a row, and then I've got another day tomorrow, another 10-hour shift, and then I've got 5 days off. Or is it 4 days?
Moving house in that 5 days, so
yeah, well, exactly. So I'm not going to get a chance to fucking rest.
No.
So, and by the way, I'm looking at van rentals. That £100.
Telling me off.
Joke.
And by the way, Joe,
it's not your fault. I'm just annoyed. £100 for like a van for a day. Like, fuck that.
I'm going to also for the visuals.
I'll see if I can find someone who has a van, basically. So if you have a van and you want to lend it me for free on Friday, potentially Saturday as well, probably Saturday as well, give me a shout. You have to be in the Burnley area, though. If you're a man with a van...
And you want an advert on Turfcast podcast, all we ask is that you take Joel's shit to his new house.
Well, just give me your van. You don't even need to take my shit. Just give me your van for 24 to 48 hours. I'll even bring it back at night. I'll even bring it... It's a big job, mate. She's got a lot of shit, as the missus. I'm throwing off.
It's pretty off there.
To be fair, it's not. There's fuck all there. No, there's fuck all there. Although, as you can tell, I'm not on brand this week. No Burnley shirt. And that's because all my Burnley shirts are at the new house. So that is the only thing that is at the new house, is my Burnley shirts. There's 2 tubs full of Burnley shirts because they're all old and all the old school ones.
For Man United PSG game.
There you go. So he's supported PSG. We'll be happy to know that as we're recording this, we've just gone 2-1 up.
Yeah. I genuinely, I just put this on this morning. I didn't even realise Man United were playing tonight.
Well, there you go. So have you been up to much anyway then, mate?
No, just trying to get better, mate. All boring in my life, I'm afraid. I've not got much else to tell you.
You went to physio today, though, didn't you? So talk to me and the viewers about that. Everyone loves it when we go round the houses and don't talk about Burnley for at least the first 15 minutes. I'm sure they do.
Honestly, God, I've never... Well, I have felt pain like it, but it was years and years ago. And it was last time I had one of these on. They were only fucking Sunday night. I said to Mrs., I'm like, do you know what, Trey? Doddle this. Compared to the last one, doddle. There's one pin site that's annoying me. I've got a metal cage, for those who don't know, on my leg. And there's one pin site that's irritating, but nothing that I can't handle, you know. Bit of sort of like keeping on top of it. 3 days later, mate, I'm like ringing doctor. I can't do it anymore. Give me some medicine. Honest to God, I think it's because I'm trying to do more, and my leg's just gone like a balloon and gone, nah.
Yeah. So what is it then? Just your cage is irritating you because you, like you say, you try to walk on it a bit more or whatever.
Exactly. I'm allowed to walk on it, but my body is just rejecting this thing on my leg at the minute, so I need to get past that.
Well, that doesn't sound good. So fingers crossed you get better soon. But like you say, you've been to physio today, so hopefully that helps. And you've rang the doctor. Hopefully sends you tons of morphine.
You just let me know if you need help. Well, I'm ringing you now, mate.
Well, I do need something. Yeah, let us know, pal, if you do. Yeah, I'm telling you now, I do. See you in a bit.
That's what they do to me. They go, like, yeah, you've got corn if you want it. You can have it. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Right, well, let us know if you're struggling. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm ringing you. I'm actually...
I use that for a bad head sometimes.
Yeah, I get really, like, I'm proper shit. I've got brittle bones, break bones all the time, and don't react very well to strong painkillers. If it make me feel sick and vomit. And so I got Cordamol at 30 mil, which is quite strong, to be fair. 2 of them is like pretty good. I'll have like 1 of them and see if that works. Then I'm right.
And if it don't, you have the second one and fall asleep.
If it does,
start floating in clouds. I
have a bottle of morphine in the other room that the doctors give me, and I don't like it, but I'm having it tonight. But last time I had it on my own accord, I meant to take 5 mil syringe. So my wife Tracy, for the rest of it's not dead. She put a syringe out. So I just usually fill the Calpol syringe, bang it in, 5 mil done. And she basically gave me a cap. You know, they're old granddad measuring caps that have like different measurements on it.
Yeah.
So I just poured it in, bang, knocked it out. Like, fuck, that was stronger than I normally have. To get my readers out, like trying to find out where the measurements are. 25 mil.
Wow. So you had 5 times more than what you're supposed to have.
I had to sit in A&E and be judged for 3 hours while it went out my system.
But how did you feel?
I felt elated, mate. There was zero pain whatsoever. I felt on cloud 9. Just a bit embarrassed.
There you go. There you go. Next time, just take 25 mil. In fact, we do not endorse that here on Turfcast Podcast. We do not endorse abusing prescription.
Apparently, 11 mil for my height and weight is like you've cut off at 25.
I'm surprised you survived.
I'm all right. I'm all right with painkillers. My body's on them all the time, but I just don't like them because they make me sick.
Fair enough. We'll get into it then, shall we? But before we do, I'll just have to quickly mention that we are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sports. You can see it at the bottom of your screen now. It is available to download on the App Store and the Google Play Store, and you can download it now and speak to other Burnley fans on the app. You can speak to me on the app and stuff. I upload a video every single week. As you can see, Simon's pointing there. If you watch it on YouTube, that's what Simon's pointing at. And it's just basically, as I say every week, it's just a fan hub where you can talk to other Burnley fans, select your teams, and just do whatever you want on it. But anyway, now all the legalities are out of the way, and we've done the 5-minute round the houses chatting shit that no one's asked about. Let's get into the bit that people are asked about. Although you might not be as asked about it this week because we have to look back at the Manchester City game. So Manchester City 5, Burnley 0, go.
Shout on to the next game. Summary
there
done.
You go. And that's the end of Turfcast this week. No, but what is it with Man City? Because I know they're good. They're a good side. They spend a lot of money. They have a world-class manager and world-class players. Of course they do. But last season, we held our own against everybody apart from Man City and Spurs, pretty well, with Chelsea at home as well. But then we go to Liverpool and, we put in an absolute shift and we do really, really well. And we draw 1-1, the only team all season to draw at Anfield. And it's the same the season before. We get murdered against them the season before. And it's the same the season before that as well. Twice, I think. 5-0 and 5-1. Was it in the Cup? I can't remember.
We got 1-0.
Yeah, we did 1-0 up Ashley Ball just before half time, I think, and then it all just capitulated. But what is it about that team? Is it a mental block? Is it our styles are just that their style just works better against ours? What is it?
I think it's sorry, I've got a cough today. Let me get it out. Right, I think it's Dyche. I think it's a tactical decision first. Secondly, I think that their team is that superior. We will get beat no matter what we do. We could put 11 behind ball on the line. Probably we'll get beat still because they're that good. Yeah,
you could say that about Liverpool, but we didn't. And this is what I mean. It always seems to be City annihilators every single year. And it must be, in my opinion, I'll let you carry on in a second, but I do think it's a mixture of both. I think our style just doesn't suit playing against them, and their style suits us perfectly on their side, obviously. Yeah,
he's a new Sean Gorter and Sean. What's the other one called?
Aguero. Oh, back in there.
You remember when they used to score like 3-4 against us every time we played them?
Yeah, City have always had this thing on us. I don't know what it is. Even when they were shit, we made them look like prime Barcelona, and now they're good. They look even better against us. I
remember when we were in, like I said, I'm going to guess first division, but I feel like it was second division, which is now League One, and then, like you said, Sean Gorter just absolutely tore us, and they had a full cricket field end, and I were in same stand as you, just looking across at it, and it just erupted. It was so loud in that division. And then I think we battered Wigan the week after, which were a big game for us as well.
I always remember, there was a few of them. I remember we played them once in Division 2, which is now League One, and they went 1-0 up, and they always filled that cricket field end.
Yeah.
But back then, obviously, for those that don't know, the fans had the full cricket field end, and it was very rare that you'd see a full away end. It's every single week now because you're in the Premier League, but back then it was once a season, maybe twice if you were playing Preston or Blackburn.
Depends what division were you in, but like Wigan brought a few one year. I think
that's unusual for Wigan.
I know, yeah, but I think they only get like 6,000-7,000 at home, but they get like 4,000 away. It's like a core of fans.
I remember one. I do remember one though. We went 1-0 up. They went 1-0 up and they scored and they erupted and it were all just like normal celebrations, but really loud. And then we scored again not long after. And it was when we used to play Tom Hawk. So at Berlin, I was like, "Get in there!" It was brilliant. And then City scored again about 10 minutes later. They all started taking piss. They all celebrated.
Every time they scored, they did it, didn't they?
Yeah, and they did it 3 times after that. They beat us 4-2, the bastards.
Tell them the story about your dad and Sean Gorter.
Well, it's the same game, actually. I think Sean Gorter scored a couple of songs. And me and my dad sit in the family stand. So we're obviously surrounded by young children and families and things like that. It's never stopped me losing my rag every now and then, I will be honest. And my dad's quite quiet and stuff on the turf most of the time. But every now and then, like once a season, he just has a random outburst. That season, this random outburst was against Man City in that game because Sean Dyche had scored a couple, might have even scored a hat-trick, I don't know, but they were all going, feed the goat and he will score, feed the goat and he will score, just proper loud, because there were so many of them just bellowing across the turf. And my dad was getting agitated, and Dad went, yeah, feed the goat and he will shit. And honestly, I just looked at him. And he was angry like that. And this woman was sat in front of us with a young child, and she just went and just looked at him, and he was just like that, right, angry. And I was just like, what was that? Absolutely stupid. But it's gone down in folklore. It's iconic. It's iconic.
Shit comebacks in it, but the ones that make you laugh.
Yeah. My dad's had a few of them down the years. But yeah, going back to the actual game then, talk to me about Mahrez. Why is Mahrez suddenly getting so much joy against us? Because he isn't your traditional striker, because it is them sort of players that Man City have that usually get all the joy against us. Gota, Aguero. But now Mahrez is creeping up on us as well, and he tends to play in that hole, doesn't he, behind the front two? So is it just there's just so much space that we're not, even though we are defending deep, we're defending too deep. So then there's just all this space for him to get on the ball, and we're so rigid, we're not going out of position or something like that. What do you think it is?
I think you've nigh on nailed it there, because that's what I was going to say at the beginning. I think it's a combination of tactical problems, and then people like Mahrez. It was like Grealish at Villa when they came on New Year's Day, and you just let him have the ball.
Same sort of player, isn't it?
You can let him have the ball. He's just going to take piss out of you, and we'll let them have the ball. And it was quite obvious that when that first goal went in, which was quite calamitous for me, it was just like, fuck's sake. There were 3 or 4 times that could have been avoided. And then the heads fell off, mate. It was so apparent that the heads fell off. No one were up for it. No one. I'm sure they were up for it. That's probably a wrong phrase for it. I'm sure they were up for it, but I feel like that just knocked her for 6. You know what I mean? Against a team like that so early on.
That's what I mean. I think when it comes to stuff like that, I think like we went 1-0 down against Liverpool, but we kept his heads. I think part of it is that like we're just so poor against City because of the styles of play and the contrasting styles of play and these pockets that players like Mahrez can get hold of. But then when you go 1-0 down against City, because we've lost 5-0 against them every time, 100%, I think just the players' heads fall off every single time. They're like, here we fucking go again. And then it does fucking go again because not that they're not trying, but they're already beaten in their heads. I think that's what it is. As soon as that first goal goes in, I think they're already beat. I think they've just given up.
Dyche said it in his interview afterwards. He said, I don't know what it is about this place, because we play against very good teams and we're all right, but this place we seem to basically lose his heads. I don't remember what word he used, but he basically said that in his interview. So he knows it. Players probably feel it. I can't speak on behalf of them. I don't know. I haven't asked them yet, but it's an hard place to go, and you know when you've got an hard day ahead of you. That's a proper shift in it. I'm disappointed because it should have been 7. Well, it could have been 7.
Yeah, could have easily been 7-8. They hit the post as well, didn't
they? But I suppose we've got to talk about the debutant, the Premier League.
Well, I've got a running order this time, mate. So don't think that I've wrote on it Bailey. Don't you worry.
Right, let's go.
But let's talk about Bailey first, because I want to end on the positive one. I want to end on Josh Benson. So we're going to talk about Bailey. I'll put my piece in first. A lot of people, because I put something up on Turfcast, sort of like saying, how do you think this man played today? And a lot of people go, we've conceded 5 against them the last 3 seasons. It's not Bailey's fault. I never said it were Bailey's fault. I never said any of the goals were really Bailey's fault off the top of my head. It were the goals that we didn't concede against him. And I think we said this on the watch-along, didn't we? That one that was offside, that he kneed into his own net, that he let bounce. It was like, what are you doing? Just get hold of it. It worried me. Exactly. And then there's that other one where he's gone down on the floor, and again he just palms it into his own net. It might be nerves because he's playing in his first Premier League debut, I think it was. He wouldn't have played in the Premier League with Leeds, would he? So yeah, it would have been his Premier League debut. That weren't a dig, by the way. And then he's nervous. But then obviously because the players see him doing stuff like that, then the defenders they're going to get nervous. They can't hang their hat on him like they can with Paul. I thought he was pretty poor. I'm not slagging him off for the goals we've conceded. I'm slagging him off for the goals we didn't concede. It just didn't look like he had that confidence and that like you can hang your hat on sort of goalkeeper vibes. If any of that makes sense.
Before in previous podcasts that if you have a core player out of position, the person next to him is constantly on edge. I feel that personally, like we said it about Ben Mee, when he's come back, people just start doing their own shit now, rather than where I feel Tarky sometimes comes across to out Long or Dunn or whoever's playing at the time. I feel like we took a massive part of our team out, of obviously no fault of Porphy's, but he's played in some massive games, mate. Well, it's not like, and I'm not really sort of one to go in on players, but he can't be nervous because he's played in huge games for Northern Ireland and pulled off worldies. I remember that Germany game, for example. And I remember watching and thinking, I cannot wait to see this guy in a Burnley shirt. And I felt so bad for him at the end, mate, because it's just, he probably dreamt of that the night before, thinking, right, save a penalty, we'll tip one over at bar, perfect. Even if we get beat, I want to look good. And the poor sod, I don't know what went wrong, but I have never... And I like the keeper. I've seen him play many a time for Northern Ireland, but I've never seen a keeper drop a ball and knee into a static ball into his own net. Never seen that.
It were, he's obviously a good goalkeeper. Whether he was nervous or not, obviously you don't think he were. But he might have been nervous because it was, he wanted to impress his new team, his new fans, newish fans. For his first time, who knows? But I'm a little bit worried if Port gets a long-term injury, for example. I know a lot of people went, oh, well, remember when Tom Heaton went off against Palace? We didn't think that, Nick Port were going to be as good as he was. I don't think Bailey's going to be that good at the minute. I do he's a good, again, I'm contradicting myself. He's a good goalkeeper, but now I've seen him play against City and the mistakes that he made / didn't make, because he didn't count as goals, to be fair. It's not someone I'd be confident being in the back line.
Well, before you move on, as a positive, a lot of people like him, inside the club and not at the club, that have been at the club. They all say he's going to be a keeper one day, like in a positive manner. I just don't know what went on, mate. I feel for the lad. No one wants a debut like that.
No. Like I said, I do think he's a good goalkeeper. I've seen him play live for Leeds when I used to cover Leeds back in the day. We've all seen him play for Northern Ireland on the TV. So it's proven his worth. He just, for some reason, it didn't really work out at the weekend. But let's move on. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, which is the worst? What's the word? Debut. Which is the worst? Akinbaye or Bailey?
Akinbaye. Absolutely. What was he on the pitch for? 13 minutes?
Well, that was seconds, I think.
No, it was a few minutes, weren't it?
I'm not having it, but it might have been. But
I remember the fans being buzzing because he did a few good things. We were like, "Oh, go on! Hey, he's good." Him. The next thing you know, he grabs whoever it were by scruff at neck and nuts him. Refs like, "What are you doing?"
Whoever's listening, if you remember this game, if you don't remember this game, look it up because it's incredible. Akinbaye, beast of a man, comes on and we are buzzing. And I'm telling you now, I want someone to give us an answer. I think it was less than 5 minutes.
Right, you waffle on. I'll find out.
Yeah, he was probably the worst one. Or Stevens. Stevens could be on that.
On what?
On this sort of like poor debuts.
Yes, he could be, but he didn't. He was just non-existent, weren't he? To be fair, he was just non-existent. I've found it.
Yeah.
So what you're saying? What you're saying then? I'll bring it in. I won't bring it in yet because then you'll be able to see it. You're saying less than 5 minutes or less than 5 seconds?
Less than 5 minutes. I'm going as early as, if I'm going to, you want me to be more specific, I'm saying like between 90 seconds and 3 minutes.
It looks like, I didn't mean to do that. It looks like, didn't mean to do that either. Where's my screen share thing gone? Oh, for God's sake, I don't know how to do it. It's down here. No, it's down here. It's down here. Down here. Down here. Down here. Down here. Hold on. If you're listening on the podcast, I'm sorry. There we go. Share. Akinbaye butts out as Sunderland go top. Sunderland move to the top of the Championship for the first time since relegation. Blah, blah, blah. On the night when Adi Akinbaye's Burnley debut lasted only 2 minutes before he was sent off for elbowing and attempting to headbutt George McCartney. Can you see that on the screen? Has that worked?
It's
There you go.
I'm
It's
a
worked.
bit set back. I don't look like it, but I am quite set back. But 100%, I remember. I pretty much nailed it, mate. Between 90 seconds and 3 minutes, I said.
Yeah. To be fair, you
I
did.
remember it. He got a ball into Toffee, laid it off, did it again, and then went down the wing, chased the man. They were going out of play. Very similar to was it them who left one on Gomez and they had a proper fit about it at Liverpool for a year.
Ben Me.
It was something similar to that, where it was a nothing thing. Like you've just nudged him, he's gone out, he's got up in a huff. It's just like he went to elbow him first, which made him fall over, and then he's got up and he's gone bang. Fantastic.
I remember I was sat where I still sit. And I remember looking down and it was right in front of me. Obviously, I'm up in God's light, but it was right in front of me. And I just remember that saying to my dad, like, what's he doing? My dad, like, he's a dickhead. And then obviously it all turned out well and it turned out to be an absolute legend. So you never know. That could happen for Bailey. It happened for Addy. It can happen for Bailey. But anyway, let's move on because we still need to get the fan reaction in. Josh Benson. What did you make of Josh Benson's debut?
I think he was playing an impossible sort of position, but I think in games like that, and sorry for Bailey, but your first job is to just not do anything wrong. And if you can go through the 90 minutes and say, you know what, I didn't do anything wrong, I don't think we expect you to uproot trees against City. I don't think we're expecting a powerhouse. You know, all of our 11 were non-existent. But he didn't look like, for me, a player that's never played in the Premier League. He looked like the rest of the team, which was poor at the time, obviously. But I don't think he did anything to make him stand out as not a part of that team.
Yeah, I thought when he had the ball, he looked confident and he looked assured. Yeah. He just didn't really get on the ball as much as I would like, but he's playing against Man City, so you could say that about everybody. That's not a criticism of him. Nobody got on the ball as much as we would have liked. I like the fact that he was confident enough to step up and take the free kick. That's good for a youngster. That shows that he is pretty confident and stuff like that. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sorry, I was getting rid of that screen share. Because it was slowing it down. It's better now, isn't it? Yeah. But what was I going to say? Yeah, I'd like to see him against a lesser side. I don't want him to, because he's played against arguably the best midfielder in the world against Kevin De Bruyne. So it feels a bit silly judging him. But we are judging him and saying that we thought he did all right. So, but I'd like to see him against a team like Palace, for example. No offense to Palace, it started well, but you know, where there's no one world class in the middle of the park.
He's the kind of, sorry, I keep coughing. He's the kind of player now that I really want to see in our cup team.
Yeah.
I really want to see the MK Dons, you know, hopefully get a win, get a run, develop this player, because this is what it's about at his age. And remember, this is an Arsenal graduate that got released after I think it was professional contract. You know, when you get your first one at 16.
Yeah.
I think he got released after that, and we signed him this year. So he's not, you know, he's played with some really good players at a really good level. This Burnley squad won't be that far of a bridge, I don't think, to cross to get to the
and especially if we go down, fingers crossed, obviously we don't. I think he'd be a good one to have in the Championship. And I know I always say we signed him a couple of years ago. And I know I've referenced this before, but I actually saw him play last season for Grimsby Town when I was working for Bradford City. And he played well. I was watching him, but the person that stood out the most and who got the man of the match were the other lad, Anthony Glennon, at left back. He was fantastic in that game. So I'd like to see him, but the problem is you're not going to dislodge Charlie Taylor. But again, he's another one that I'd like to see in our cup, as you called it, cup games. Yeah,
100%. We need to develop, mate. There's no two ways about it. We're not going to invest. We need to develop. That's the way it is. And these players, they might not win. We might not get a cup run, unfortunately, but they need that game time if we're going to make a player out of him. And he's played for Arsenal at academy level. I'm sure he can sort of try and get on to that stage now of being one of the Burnley players. Because Dwight's done it, mate.
Exactly. And obviously now we are an academy. I know they didn't come through the academy, but now we are academy. So hopefully we're getting more youngsters coming through within the next 5-10 years.
What's the guy's name? You know my memory's bad. It's not that I don't know. What's the guy's name who we got in? Not Matt Garland, Matt Rigg?
Yeah. What about...
Who's the guy who's been brought in as a director of football or something?
Oh, yeah, Matt Rigg, yeah.
But Matt Rigg is the person involved for bringing up... You keep seeing it on Facebook. But he's the one who's in charge of getting these under-23 teams together, and picking out.
Yeah, we tend to sign a lot of under-23 players every summer, don't we, and stuff.
And we're all getting pissed off about it. But if you look at it, we're not signing them from Huddersfield anymore. We're no disrespect to Huddersfield, but like you said, getting an Arsenal graduate, it's quite exciting to see it. And I want to see more of this. There's other players that have been released from big teams that have chose us. So, the future is there. It's just if we invest in it correctly.
The future's bright. The future's claret, basically. Right, before we move on, I just want to obviously go back to the Man City game, because obviously every single week we do the fan reaction where you, our podcast listeners and viewers, send your reaction in to the Burnley game. And this was what you all said after the Manchester City game.
For me today, the most worrying thing, it wasn't the fact that we lost 5-0. It wasn't the result itself. It was just the way that we played. I don't usually like to say this about the team, but I thought the players' attitude just stinked today. We all know that Man City away is going to be a tough game, but I felt like the players just didn't really try, to be honest. I've listened to Sean Dyche's comments after the game, and he said, maybe in the build-up, the media got into the players' heads saying, because it's always a tough place to come, maybe that affected them. Like, I'm sorry, but you're professional footballers, No Burnley fan will expect you to go Man City and win. Like, that's just unrealistic, but you should just give it a go at least, just try for the badge. And I felt like as soon as that first goal went in from Mahrez today, the players just kind of shrugged their shoulders and thought, oh, well. And for me, that's just unforgivable. Team selection today, I thought was a bit questionable. I'm not going to dig out Peacock Farrell. Obviously, he shouldn't be starting. He's only playing because Port's got that head injury, and he did have a bit of a shaky game, but put it into context, it's his debut in the Premier League, and for the actual goals that went in, I don't think he could have done anything about them, so I'm not going to blame Peacock Farrell today, really. Rodriguez on the wing, I feel like we should have played Gudmundsson and just gone with Wood and Rodriguez up top, because that worked so well against Crystal Palace. For me, Ashley Barnes has been a great player for us, but I just think he's past it now. I just feel like he's just said he can just only be an impact player off the bench, and that's it. I don't feel like we can't afford to start him in the team at the moment, with the scrap that we're in. Moving forward, look, listen, it's going to be a tough season. It's going to be a scrap to survive. Everton at home next. It's a massive game, but for me, I think it just comes down to recruitment. You cannot go into a Premier League season and only spend £1 million on, we resigned Dale Stevens and a third choice goalkeeper from Wolves and expect to compete. Unfortunately, football's all about finance, and the board have really neglected Sean Dyche and the players this summer, because if you've got no players coming in, for as good as the lads have been for us the past few years, you're going to get complacent because no one's going to take the place. So I just pray that we can pick up some form from somewhere, but just lack of goals. 4 goals all season. We're playing 9 games. Man City scored more goals against us today than what we've scored ourselves all season. That sums it up for me. But hey, keep the faith. Up the Clarets.
Where to start on yesterday's game? Expected really. City away, not got a great record there. I think we've got a draw out at last 7 or 8 games, so expected really. More disappointed with the performance they put up really in the fight. Nothing there. Game over we by half time at 3-0. Understand we've got a lot of injuries. Port was a big miss yesterday, as I think we all saw. Brownhill in middle. He was a massive miss. I think he's been a tremendous signing of Dyche's that we got from Bristol City. Settled in really well, and I think he's a good addition alongside Westwood. It was a big miss. I think Gudmundsson were a big miss out wide as well. Obviously Brady's still missing. For me though, not much of a miss with Brady. Is it a miss? I can't believe we actually give him a new deal. I probably would have let him go. Due to the fact that we've got not got much out of him. Seems to play more for Ireland than what he does for us. But yeah, just disappointed with the overall performance really, that there were no fight there. I know we've had some tough games. We've played Spurs this season at home and give them a bit of give them a fright, and probably should have won the game. with the performance we put in. It's just disappointing that we with no consistency with that performance really, which is a bit of a miss. Palace, we got the win last week against Palace, great 3 points. Weren't a great performance, but we got there and got the win. So yesterday was, a bit of a step back really, when I thought we might take a step forward. I didn't expect us to get anything at City, but I just thought the performance should have been a lot better. As I mentioned previously, I think Mick Pope was a big miss. I thought Peacock fell did all right. Could he really done anything about the goals? In my opinion, probably not. I think he's really unlucky with the last one. I think the services played a big part there. I mean, if you watch it again, I've watched it again this morning. If you watch it again in slow motion, the initial save he made is a top draw save. If that were Pope, we'd have all been raving. It were a world class save. Coming in at when Jesus were sliding in to finish it, and it's a tremendous save, and then it's just skidded off him and gone in, unfortunately. So it's a bad day at the office for him. Bad day at office for all the team. I'm sure that's what Sean will have been saying in dressing room after. We just got to take it on now to next week. Everton at home. I fancy us next week. I really do. Everton's. They've hit a bit of a brick wall. I think they've not won in 4 or 5, which is I think someone said yesterday it's a record for Carlo Ancelotti. I think that's the first time he's ever not won in 4 or 5 games in his career. So they'll be low on confidence, and it's up to us to take advantage. Dinner time game again on BT. Just a shame. It's this crowd, like we said many times, and we're saying every week. It's the crowd that's not playing, not being able to play a part. I think that's what's a massive miss for us this season, especially on night games. Under the lights of the turf. I think that's a big miss. But yeah, we just put yesterday down to a bad day at the office, and onwards and upwards. Have a good weekend, fella Clarets.
Jesus wept. At least we're consistent. Another 5-0. Comes to something when you're cheering a goal being disallowed just to keep it from being 6. Don't know what it is about that match. I know we don't expect to win. It's all right saying, you don't expect to beat City, but at least put performance in. But there's just some sort of mental block when Burnley go to Man City. We never turn up, never even try. There seems to be no desire. Other teams seem to just go there and at least put a game up. Put a fight up, but Christ's sake. It's done now, isn't it? Unless we get them in the cup, but at least it's done for another year. Try to get back to what we were last week. Put this behind us. We do write it off as a free hit. We shouldn't, but we do. And
there you go. That was the fan reaction. Big shout out to everybody that sent their videos in. You obviously seen a new face then. It's good to get new faces involved all the time. Big shout out to everybody that sent their video in. If you want to be involved in the fan reaction, all you have to do is get your phone out, record yourself talking about the game that Burnley have just played, whether you're angry, annoyed, upset. It don't matter. You do it. Talk to me for about 2 to 3 minutes if you can. It doesn't matter if it's less, but ideally 2 to 3 minutes. And then just send it to us at turfcastpodcast@gmail.com. And then Bob's your uncle and Fanny's your aunt, and you're in the watch along. And if, like some people have asked, you would rather only send an audio clip in, then you can. I'd rather you sent a video in, but I know some people are a little bit self-conscious and things like that. So if you do want to be involved but only want to send audio, that's a way around it. But you obviously will not be in the fan reaction video on Facebook and on YouTube. You will only be in the podcast audio bit.
Shitter.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Obviously, I mentioned earlier, and as you can see at the bottom, we are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sport, the wonderful people at Pitch, and they have an app. I've explained it already, but on that app, as I've said, I send a question to them every single week. They upload it to the app, and then you go on the app, and then you respond to that question. So this week, I won't ask Simon the question because I've already asked it. I wanted to know what you think it is about Man City. Like, why do we always get absolutely murdered against Man City? Because we do. Is it a mental block? Blah, blah, blah. Me and Simon already discussed it. So let's go into the answers that we have had. Mick Norton says, you can't just sit back against Man City. They'll batter you. We need to be at them straight away, kicking, punching and scratching. Burnley go into these games all wrong. Doc says, why are we shit at City? ? Water is wet. Sky is blue. and City will smash 5 past us. That is just the way when you are a Burnley fan. And of course, Neil, there you go. Neil Layfield, good lad. He's nearly always, even when he can't, because he said his question weren't. His response, wasn't registering on the app. So he just DM'd it me. He just DM'd it me and said, "Look, mate, I've tried to do it on the app. Can you read it out?" I mean, of course can, Neil. Of course can. So Neil says it has to be an inferiority complex / mental block, almost like the players are in awe of Man City or something. Plus, City are a bogey team. So as soon as a goal goes in, heads will drop, which is obviously what I said. Instead of wanting to fight, almost like here we go again mentality. I also think we give City far too much respect tactically, like Simon said, and just need to be bastards about it. Bit like Doc just said.
On the
sorry, Mick just said.
On Jose Mourinho says it on the thing. I can't say it because you have to bleep it. It's a bad one. But here we go.
Yeah.
The reason they wait is because they are. If you want to go out there, you be.
Yeah. Thank you. That's the only word you're not allowed to say on the podcast.
No. There's another.
There's a few. There's a few that are, what's the word? Not the actual word. There's a few that are sort of like, well, what's the word when you single someone?
Illegal.
Discriminatory. Right. That's the word. The C word's not discriminatory. It's just a word. Whereas the other words that you're referring to, they're discriminatory. Anyway, moving on. I haven't finished Neil's answer yet.
What's the name you call me? We're beginning with C.
I don't know. Do I?
4-letter word begins with C.
Ending T by any chance?
No.
I've never told you that. Ends in P?
Yeah. Grip.
Oh, that's fine. That's right. That's just bad between me. I had to bleep that out now. No, I'm joking. Let's get back to Neil's thing. We just need to be bastards about it. Get physical and in their faces a bit more instead of just standing off them. So there you go. This week, I haven't sent my question in yet, but I already know it. I'm going to be recording it tomorrow morning before work, and I'm going to be asking if you want to see more of Josh Benson in this Burnley side, obviously after his game against Man City at the weekend. So Simon's doing the face, like when a roofer comes round to your house and tells you it's going to be $4,000, like it's just happened to me. That's the face that I did. So give me your answer then, Simon. Would you like to see more of Josh Benson in this Burnley side?
I would like to see more of him, but not at the expense of the team. So that's the best way I can put it. Like I said, the cup, lesser games towards the end of the season if we're safe, definitely, but not at the expense of a season.
Yeah. Brownhill and West they've got to be first choices. To a lesser extent, I'd probably even have Cork ahead of him. What's that?
I'm still a big fan, and I miss Cork in the middle.
Yeah. I like Wesley and Benson. I think for me, I'd probably keep them there. Sorry, Wesley and Brownhill. I'd keep them there even when Cork's back, personally. That's another debate. Moving on. If you want to answer that question, go over to Pitch Sport. If you're listening to this at like 6 a.m. in the morning on Thursday, it ain't going to be there. Shout out to Mark Howarth delivering milk. If you're listening at like 10 p.m, I'll have probably sent it in by then, but it won't be there because Pitch won't have put it up by then. If you're listening at any point after 1 o'clock on Thursday, it probably should be there. So feel free to pause the podcast, go to it, answer the question, come back, because it obviously helps us out massively with Pitch Sport. It sees that we're doing stuff, we're sending people over to their app. So please feel free to do it. Right. Oh, I keep forgetting something.
Go on.
And someone keeps messaging the page. Shout out to Heath if you're listening, mate. I think he listens, but he's from New Zealand Clarets. Now, yes. I think I always he's done it before where he got in touch and asked for us to tell people about a meeting, and he's done it again, and he's done it about 3 weeks ago. Like, yeah, of course, mate, no worries, and I just forget every single time.
I'm seeing him tomorrow. What is it?
You're seeing him tomorrow?
Is it about Chris Wood?
No, it's not about Chris Wood.
Oh, sorry.
Although he did ask you, did he? He asked you to get something sorted, and you haven't done it.
I told you.
Did you?
Log on to his Twitter, can I?
You can do.
Oh.
Anyway, Heath says, for your information, Joe, the next New Zealand Clarets meetup is for the West Ham game. So either Saturday or Sunday, the 16th or 17th of January in Wellington. I tell you what, it'll be red hot down there at that time. We're freezing up here, red hot down there. We've arranged a 2-hour Zoom sportsman dinner with Andy Payton too for the day.
Nice.
Oh well, Andy Payton. Oh, I'll tell you what, he's doing well. Talking about his career, etc., etc. Should be a great weekend. Thanks for your help. I'll tell you what, boys, I'm jealous. I am jealous. They're going to be sat there in a bar having loads of jars of 4X, whatever they drink down there. I know that's Australia. Foster's, I don't know what New Zealand people drink. Probably just beer like everyone else. And then Andy Payton's going to join him on a bloody phone call. What's all that about? Am I sat here? I live around the corner from him, for God's sake. I live literally around the corner from him. I think. Where does he live these days? No, I don't. He's moved. I won't give his street address out, but he don't live where he used to live. He lives on a different place, but still near me. And I'm not having a...
Don't live on that street now.
The old street, we're over there from where I am now, to my perspective.
His new street's
that way.
That's it.
It's behind me. It's behind you, not behind me. Oh, no.
No, it's
no, yeah. Oh, no, it might be a bit more right. Anyway, this is ridiculous radio. Who gives a shit? So there you go, Heath. It sounds a great weekend, as Heath says. So if you're in New Zealand, Claret, sorry?
What? Can we come?
If Heath can afford the flights for us, then yeah. Or just get us on a Zoom call. Heath, if you're up for that.
Exactly what I was thinking, but I'm glad you got
if you're up for that. Well, it'll be at 3 in the morning, won't it? I'd do it.
How will it be 3 in the morning, you belly? They're watching a match.
Oh, shit, yeah, of course. 3 in the morning for them, innit?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they'll be all knackered. Who's this dick?
Why don't we get one of them
New Zealand
in future? If you can't do it by the January, get one of them on the watch along.
That's a good shout. That's a good shout. Heath, if you're listening, the world's your oyster, mate. So yeah, me and Simon would be up for coming on, even flying down there if you could afford it. I know you can't, mate. Fair enough. But anyway, let's move on. We're talking shit. We're digressing very much. Let's move on to the Everton game then. So let's talk about Everton. They are currently 8th in the Premier League as I'm saying this, sorry. But lost to Leeds last time out. It's been a bit of a season of two halves for Everton. They was in great form at the start. They even beat Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. They were top of the league after that Goodison Park draw against Liverpool. But they've lost 4 of the last 5 since the derby against Liverpool, and their form has dropped off a cliff. The only team that they've beaten in that run is Fulham, and even then they were 3-0 up and nearly fucked it up and drew the game, finished 3-2. And like I said, lost to Leeds last time out in a game where they, no disrespect to Leeds, but Everton should be beating them. So let's think about the Everton game. Well, what do you think? What do you think about this Everton game? Then are you looking forward to it? What is it? A big game? It's kind of gone under the radar a little bit for me.
Yeah. I think there's 2 games coming up, which I would say is if you're going to play them at any time, this is the time to play them. Everton's the first and Arsenal is the second. Everton aren't doing what was expected of them after 5 games in. My Uncle Andy's and our scout said, this is our year this side. It's not. But to be fair, Liverpool had a stuttery start, didn't they? So they were flying at the top of the league. So, but it's gone. It's what's the word? It's forming some sort of normality now. It's starting to sort of level itself out. Yeah. This is the worst run that I think the manager's had in his
career. I think you told me that, and as you will hear in a little bit, Owen the Everton fan, yes, that Owen the Everton fan who's constantly getting in touch and for some reason loves the podcast even though he's an Everton fan, because he has a bit of a soft spot for Burnley.
I don't mind Everton because of my uncle.
But he's been on the show. I did a pre-game show with Owen. Yeah. Internet connection weren't great, Owen. I'm not sure. Probably still on dial-up down in Liverpool. No, I'm joking, mate. Hopefully...
Liverpool, I was slating that.
True, but Owen obviously don't have it. Or if he does, it were me. Something went wrong, it was shite. Or as Owen was saying, shite. He never said that either. But yeah, what I was saying, we've done it again. You've made me lose track. But yeah, as he was saying... Yeah, I said it to him, is what I said. That stat that you just said about Carlo, and he didn't correct me. So I think it's right. So it's the worst run of form that Carlo Ancelotti has ever been on his managerial career.
Do you know another good, interesting sort of stat? It's not that interesting that I didn't mention.
Is it totally irrelevant to the Burnley Everton game?
No, it's City game though.
Go on then.
Thanks. The City back 4 were worth more than our takeover bid.
Really?
Yeah. So just put that into perspective as well. But yeah, I think going back, I digress. this is the time to play him. It is a winnable game. Hopefully Pope's back, shows, a bit of a competition there, friendly competition between them two for who is England number one. Pickford's got a mistake in him, we know that. They're a good side. I wouldn't underestimate them. But I think on our day at home, we should be beating Everton.
You reckon? Last season, I'd have totally agreed with you. But again, it's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? I'm going off of this season, and having said that, they did spend 60 million quid in the transfer window, and they brought World Cup Golden Boot winner James Rodriguez into the side. So it's a little bit different this year. Yeah, exactly. And Alan Key.
He don't get enough credit. He's the nasty little man that wins the ball battle, gives away a free kick, but he breaks down the play unbelievably. Thankfully, we're not in midfield, so
let's not remember they got Richarlison as well, Brazilian decent player. We'll call him
we go over top anyway, so he's surplus.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I think for me, it's going to be a tough one. Last season, going into Everton game, even with the squad that they've got now, I'd have been feeling a bit more confident. But because of the way we've been playing, I know we played well against Brighton defensively and Palace, but it all came flooding back against Man City. I don't know. I'm gonna, for my prediction, which is what we'll get into, because I don't want to predict another defeat, I'm gonna predict a 1-1. Because I can't see us keeping a clean sheet against them. Just look at the attacking flair that they've got. If they open up and attack with confidence and go forward with pace, they will score against us. That's what worries me. But the defence is back. Hopefully Port's back. I think he should be back. So I'm going to go 1-1 because I think they do leak goals. I've spoken to Owen, as I've said, and he was telling me how poor the defence is. So they do leak goals. So hopefully we can get a goal from a set piece. But what's your prediction for the game?
I think, excuse me, I think it'll be a close one. If we're going to win, it'll be a 1-0 because, we do like to play balls in the box, and Michael Keane defended that for the years he was at Burnley, so he's fully aware of how to win battles in the air, whereas some clubs you play against, you think that heart advantage will be a thing. Not 100% sure it will be an advantage against his team. But I do think we should be winning, and I think I'm going 1-0 Clarets.
I think if we score first, I don't know. It's weird. I think the first goal is massive in this game. If they score first, I think they could, and if they score first early on, we might as well turn telly off because it could end up being another City game. If we score first and then sit back, then I think we could do very well. Which again, Owen agreed with me when I said that. So let's bring Owen in then. This is a clip from the pre-game show with Owen, the Everton fan that loves Turfcast and has a soft spot for Burnley, but he doesn't like admitting that in so much words. And he's also from Breathe Everton. But here's what Owen had to say on the Burnley-Everton game.
It's very much been a season of two halves. A start of two halves even. We started the season off with basically no injuries, no suspension, and basically our team was just settled. So we were playing the same way every week. We had no worries. We had James coming off the right, an unknown quantity almost to the league. So we was just anyone we were playing. He was creating 3 or 4 good chances for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who I still think is the top scorer in the Premier League. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's just brilliant. Obviously, the goals he gets, he's come on massively. Richarlison is probably our most important player because if he doesn't play, we don't have the same kind of energy in attack to sort of break teams down and sort of offer a ball over the top and that kind of thing. So we started the season off brilliantly going forward, and then Richarlison got sent off in the derby against Liverpool, and then since then we really haven't sort of rediscovered our form. Defensively, we're in absolute shambles. We just can't. Every game we can see 2 goals at the very least, just through anything. It's through individual errors, through just basic error. It's just ridiculous at times watching us defend. Pickford making mistakes, so we're in shambles defensively. But going forward, I still think we do carry a real threat. Obviously, Richarlison, Dom and James will be fit for the game. I hope so. Luka Dean won't be, but Decore in the midfield, we're more than capable of taking the game away from Burnley with our attacking prowess. The issue for us will be defensively because we're in absolute shambles.
So what's gone wrong then? Is it a case of, like you say, a couple of injuries and suspension? I know you highlighted the Richarlison one, but is that the main thing at the minute? Obviously, because you've not been good defensively, in your words, a shambles pretty much all season. But yeah, it were a case of, if you score one, we'll score two. Is it because you've had a couple of injuries and the suspension that your attacking threat's been sort of nullified?
Well, against Fulham, we carved them open completely in the first half and scored 3. Before that, the Newcastle game, Carlo was turning us into a 90s Dutch team and playing 100 midfielders, so we had no attack in that game, so that was the reason for that. Southampton, we had no Richarlison, they were a good team, they pressed us out the game, we got sending off early on in the second half, so you can atone for that. Newcastle, like I said, we were a shambles. Man United, no Richarlison, but Bernard scored early, so we scored in that game. And against Leeds, we were playing Leeds as if we thought Leeds were Bayern Munich or something, and we were just shitting ourselves every time we got in the final third. So I think there's reason for them all, but I feel for us it's how we start a game. If we start a game like we did against Fulham, confidence on the ball, just taking the game to them and just pinning if it is to beat Burnley in your own half, we can take the game away from anyone. But if we start the game slowly and we just let the game drift, we don't stand a chance, because I'll say a million times, I obviously introducing me before someone who listens to the podcast, I watch pretty much most Burnley games, and I know for a fact from knowing both teams, whoever scores the first goal will 100% win this game. If Burnley score an early goal or the first goal, it'll be 1-0 to Burnley. If Everton score in the first 45 minutes, it'll be 3-0 to Everton. If we score late on, it'll be by how many that is. The first goal's so key in this game, and I worry that we'll concede a sloppy one early on through just being, like I said, woeful defensively. And then we just won't be able to break Burnley down because they'll get a feel for the game. That's my fear anyway.
Big shout out to Owen for coming on and doing that. Shame about the internet connection. Hopefully we get the pre-game show sorted. He sent me some clips, so hopefully I can sort it all out, and we will have a pre-game show for you on YouTube and whatever this weekend. But that's us done for this week's podcast. Unless there's anything you want to add, Simon?
No. Thank you for having me. Hopefully, 2 big games coming up. Hopefully we can get some points out of it, because they're not necessarily in form either, so this is the time. Come on.
Watch along. Are you free?
Yeah, I think so, but 12:30, isn't it?
12 Saturday. I mean, I'm hoping I'm free. I am moving house this week. I'm not at work, so I'm hoping. I tell you what, the problem is we have to book a van, and so we have to use it within that time slot. But she's getting her hair done on Saturday. Fuming. She only told me today that, I've got my hair my hair done on Saturday. I'm like, Burnley are playing. What am I supposed to do? I can't move house on my own with my dad and just, what are Burnley playing? He's like, I don't know. So I might just say, you know what? If you're getting your hair done, you're downing tools. I'm going to down tools, watch a Burnley, and do the watch along. If I can't do that, Simon's free, so he can do it. There we go.
I wonder it's taking 7 days to move the rest of the bloody house.
Wow, we're watching Burnley games.
Yeah, but you're having like standoffs.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. If you don't already, please follow us on all the social media platforms. They are on the bottom of your screen now. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, if you're not, I will read them out for you. It's Turfcast Podcast on Twitter, Turfcast Podcast on Facebook, Turfcast Podcast on Instagram, and on YouTube. Turfcast Podcast, of course it is, because I have zero imagination whatsoever. But thank you for listening, and we will see you for the pre-game show if I get the internet connection, the edit sorted, because it's going to be hard work. If not, I will see you for the watch-along. And if you're not a fan of the watch-alongs, you're not a fan of the match reaction, you're not a fan of the fan reaction, we'll see you for the podcast next week. See you later.